Back to that high-tech phone on a little tiny easel. Technology. I was looking at more expensive cameras. Hell, I have a nice webcam, and the update to Adrenaline brought back a better video recording that I actually used when I beta tested Crowfall and stuff. But I haven't tinkered with it because I'm distracted easily. Like while I was making this video. Oh yeah, Hasbro and Freefall, and everybody worried what's going to happen to Dungeons and Dragons. Well, we're not playing Dungeons and Dragons anymore, or we're playing it how we played it in the late 70s and through the 80s. Doesn't matter what they do; they turned it into a brand. And the second Hasbro acquired it, I always said I was a toy company that owns a tabletop RPG is going to try to make that more like a board game. And what has happened? It looks more like a board game every day. Just now they turned it into a video game, which is just the extrapolation of a board game into the video. They want to make it a product that just keeps on paying. Not good enough that the DM forks over all the money, man. They got to get it out of everybody through the horrible, horrible method of microtransaction and pay to win. Woo. Excuse me. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't care. It's a brand. You can't go after people for using a rule system. So they have a certain limits they can do with the IP. And after the OGL fiasco, where they basically telegraphed their intentions. Well, they didn't telegraph. They told you. All you could do is read white papers and read press releases and what they send the shareholders. And if you're a shareholder, you see stuff other people don't. Alright? They tell their shareholders their general plans. Then they execute them. So if you have a lot of stock in Hasbro, you kind of know. Just saying. But they may dump that IP. I could see them do it. And I've always joked that Disney will pick it up. And you thought what WotC did to it was bad? You ain't seen nothing yet, kid. And Hasbro and Freefall. All they got to do is re-release the stuff that sold in their heyday. If they came out and they put the at walkers and just reissued them. I mean, didn't even change them. It's probably still got the molds somewhere. And reissued that original stuff from 78 and the 80 that people loved and just couldn't get their hands on because, to be honest, a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old doesn't have much of a budget. Unless you got parents who like to spoil you. I had to work for extra money, man, and I bought books. D&D books mainly. But anyway, I do watch those old nostalgia channels on YouTube about advertising. I find advertising fascinating. And then the old toys that aren't around anymore. The stuff I couldn't have as a kid. But the majority of the toy buying market now is grown-ass adults. Bugmen, consumerists. I'm like, seriously? I mean, I honestly considered getting the original AD&D cartoon action figures when they came out. I thought that's kind of cool. I always wanted a nicer version of Warduke because I do travel and I do amateur photography, and I had a little Buddha I carried with me that my daughters got me a long time ago that had my initials on the bottom. Well, whoever made it had the same initials as I did. We thought it was cute, and I used to carry that with me when we travel, and I would put it on landscape shots and stuff. I would do that with me and Warduke. That'd be kind of cool. Put Warduke somewhere where I go somewhere and take a photo. Yeah, why not? Except for the oddity of a grown man carrying an action figure in his pocket everywhere he goes when he's traveling. That's a little odd. Am I that odd? I don't know. But companies rise and fall based on their bad decisions. There's no two company that's too big to fail. They shouldn't be bailed out, and they have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders not to do stupid shit. Problem is, most companies are so focused on pushing the message that they're not focused on sustainability, and that should be higher than just short-term profits. We don't take long generational views like folks in the Orient do in the West. So that's become a cultural flaw because we've gotten dumber. We're more intelligent. That's modern chauvinism versus the past. People in the past were actually more intelligent on average than now because natural selection stopped favoring survival of the fittest and went for the survival of the keenest. And now that has changed because we bred generations of simpletons. But anyway, here we are. Eugenics is going to be back in the conversation sphere and the political sphere because although we find it unethical and detestable here in the West, in the East, it will be embraced because they don't have the same moral qualms we do. So we'll get their version of new flesh, I guess. Is what it is. But yeah, what happens to the brand? It's a brand. It's not anything. They try to make it a lifestyle brand. Are you just your hobby? Or is there more to you than that? Are you more than your interests and your hobbies and what you find interesting? You should be more than that. You should be more of a well-rounded human being, in my opinion. I'm old-fashioned. I'm always reading. Right now I'm reading Staff to the Pilgrim, Meditations on the Way of the Nine Celtic Saints. And I find it comforting. It goes over things, Silence by St. Cuthbert. St. Cuthbert in your World of Drought game is based on a real saint. Celtic saint. Celtic Orthodox saint. But anyway, yeah, I don't care what happens to the brand because it's not going to affect my table at all because I'm playing a clone of when the game was better, when the rules were grungier, more malleable to your tables. That's what you want. You want the rules malleable so you can custom design it to suit the needs of your table, your personal tastes, and factor in your players' tastes a little bit too. I'm a firm believer that the DM's in charge 110%. And then if I have something that I want to change, I may put it to a general vote in my Discord with a little thumbs up or a little thumbs down. Thumbs up win, thumbs up down doesn't happen. And the only thing I've really put up is giving Magic users the right to make scrolls at lower levels as opposed to name level. And that is because disposable items are one shot. One shot items should be easier to make than a permanent magic item. Potions, I'm still on the fence about because an NPC alchemist can make a potion with no spellcasting ability, whereas a wizard has to wait and a cleric has to wait till their 9th level. No. I want to say you need some learning, so I might make it level. People want goals, and you need some in-game goals for your characters to work towards. That's one of the reasons I raised the cost of plate mail and half plate and introduced half plate into my old school essentials, because at 3rd to 4th level, that fighter needs to be saving money up for something. Stronghold? Is he going to wear chain all the time, or is he going to finally invest in plate? And that should be a jump. That should be a real milestone, not just milestone XP. Well, we played long enough, everybody XP. Everybody levels up. No. You count those points. All right, that's how I do it. Just like we used to. And same with the wizard. And I also put anything related to your secondary skill, whatever, maybe a 2 and 6 for, that person has a little bit more general knowledge outside of their class knowledge being a full career. If you are a fighter, it is more than just swinging a sword. That is tactics, military doctrines, and stuff like that. And that's the sphere of influence for a fighter. So you're more than just your stats on a piece of paper and what weapons and armor you can wield. And as you develop that with maybe a choice of some secondary skills, or I'm not doing 5-page backstories, people. If it's more than a paragraph, go fuck yourself. You want to go write a novel, go write a novel. But I'm not going to proofread it for you, edit it for you, and then silently co-author it. No, we're not doing that. Your actions as a player create your backstory. And if your backstory is vague enough, then I can use situational stuff with a reaction roll. Why is that boxcars? Oh my God, that's such and such from when I was in the academy. You were in the academy? Well, I never mentioned it. Plot hook. And then you add that into their backstory. You help them create it. They use it as a plot hook, use it as motivation, build it as you play through character actions and repercussions. I think it's easy. I don't understand why people have a hard time. Maybe because there was a less gamut of information when we played. In the 70s and 80s, you had Dragon Magazine, right? That was it. If you was in college or outside area, you may have had access to a message board. I didn't. I didn't have a PC till I was paying my own rent and buying my own cars. That's when I could afford a computer. That was rich people stuff. But, and I've said this before, and a lot of people don't like it. Who knew that having access to unlimited information and knowledge with some research and a flick of a button would make people stupid and unimaginative? We thought it would be the opposite. It would be suddenly smarter for having access to all this stuff. But then we didn't realize people didn't learn anything. They turned to the tool to tell them everything, and they didn't retain it. Humanity played itself. So, not having endless choices to find through a simple Google search meant we had to make it all up. So it becomes second nature. And for these younger DMs, stop relying so much on what other people do and just wing it. Do it yourself. And see if that helps you improve. Now, as I say that, I'm giving advice. I have videos which you consume by Google search. I get it. It's a paradox. Anyway, we don't need a corporation to tell us how to play a game. TSR became a victim of becoming a larger corporation, and it watered down the product. It was so much better when it was just gamers throwing stuff out they loved. And then as it became profitable, I think it degraded from it. AD&D was a pinnacle, and AD&D became the pinnacle, and then I think 2E is the decline. And the real decline is 3E, because that's when the system changed. The rules changed. It didn't resemble, at least 2E resembled AD&D. And then as it went forward, it doesn't, I don't think it's just different. And then that's when it started to become a brand. And I played 3E for a long time until I hated it. And then 4E, I just despised them on principle, I think. And then I discovered Labyrinth Lord and got back into gaming. Thank goodness for Labyrinth Lord and people like Greg Gillespie. And from there, I remember you don't need all that. I use mega dungeons produced by these other people. But I make my own dungeons. I'm making an homage for this Resting for project, which is going to be a tongue-in-cheek hat tip to Leonard Lekofka. And but yeah, it doesn't matter what happens to the brand unless Disney gets it, and they will be filled with cringe watching what happens. Be like, ugh, this is gonna suck. But we're just going to chug along and do what we do anyway. We have lots of great indie creators making better product than the large corporations with big budgets. And they're not even making the books anymore. All right, it's all digital, all of it. So they're pushing it to that video game or that monthly fee, like a WoW subscription. That's what they're doing. That's what they told their shareholders they're doing. Dumping that stock. That's gone. Gone. You guys losing too much damn money. Biotech. I've invested more biotech. But anyway, when the brand shifts hands, it's not going to matter. And that high production value gave us nicer looking books, but they're of a poorer quality. A lot of us still have our AD&D books with the thread binding, right? They're still persevering. Not so much for the glue binding of 2E forward. And then as they go to this print on demand, the paper is a gloss, makes it more stuff. Give me parchment back, all right? Give me something that's going to not smear over time. I don't need the color. Make it go back to black and white and reduce production costs, which would make the books cheaper. And then you could put a bigger margin on there instead of a shrinking margin on your high production value crap, right? I don't think most of that stuff's worth buying. It doesn't stay. The last book I bought that I was excited about was printed in 1925. Because I know my kids are going to do something with that book. My D&D books, they're not going to last multiple generations. They're not. They're not made to. They're made to be disposable crap. I need to get the wretched stuff, but it's print on demand. But it's in digest size, so there's a way to preserve that. But when you go to a full-size hardcover with glue binding and gloss finish, and it's not going to stand the test of time compared to our threadbare stuff that we got. Our thread stitch stuff that we got in 1978. Anyway, it's my little thoughts about Hasbro tanking. All these companies are more focused on a message and shifting, not listening to the people they're trying to sell to, trying to open up into newer markets. But the problem is that newer market doesn't buy nothing, or they follow fads. I mean, they're trying to get a consumerist mentality, and if they get it on a subscription base, they'll get people to all log in, get excited about it, then forget they have a subscription and have a recurring profit from people who forgot they even had it. I guess because the quality is going downhill. And I guess if you have to target that way for modern audiences, you're all doomed. Later.